know this is very, very cliche, but it has to be asked. If you could go back in time and give yourself, younger self, just one piece of advice, just one, what would it be? And what do you think?
I love this question, right? Because I've thought about this a lot. Obviously, I've done a lot of podcasts myself, and I'm always asking this question, but I don't think I've ever gave my answer. My answer would be, understand what you do well and focus on that. In terms of, when I was younger, I was too guilty of trying to do too many things perfectly. You know, I think when you look at the modern day game, and even down to non-league football now, you know, managers' sort of livelihoods, careers, they're putting food on the table, right? They're getting an income. What they want to do when they put a player out there is know exactly what they get for that player when he's in the starting 11 or when he's playing. So, you know, if you're a winger and your role is, you know, I get the ball, good few touches, and I put the ball in the box, and you've got a big number 9 that obviously scores headers, and if you can do that on a consistent basis with quality, then you're getting brought in for that value. If you're a defender that, you know, is not too gifted from a technical aspect, and you're trying to play between the lines and you're making a lot of mistakes, then you're gonna, you know, it's gonna be a tough road for you. And I'm not saying you just got to boom it and not work on those things, but I think as young players, you've got to really know, who am I as a player? The amount of times, Taff, that I get players and they come to me and say, well, I play right back, I play centre mid, and I can also play in the wing. When you get to a senior age, you know, moving up there, it's good to experiment when you're younger and be versatile, etc. But when you get moving up to 18, 19 years of age, you've got to know what you bring to the table and who you are and what your strengths are. Of course, work on your weaknesses, but above all else, this is who I am and this is what I bring to the table. It's something I believe in strongly.
And just to add on to that, that's fairly interesting because I completely agree with that. And I think one thing I would tell myself is make your strengths your super strengths and make your weaknesses strength. Because once you have a strength, like say for example, I am very technically gifted on the ball. I need to make sure that whenever I get this ball, no one is getting the ball off me. And of course, if I make a mistake, that's fine. But you need to have an identity, like you said. If you don't have those things that stick out, if you're just an average player, you're coasting around, you're just fitting in, you're never going to be seen. So you need to make those strengths that you have super strengths. Because if someone sees you and they're like, wow, no one can get the ball off him, 100%. You're more of an attraction to scouts, to coaches and everything. And it makes you a more attractive footballer to be picked.
Yeah.
So,
Just on the back of that, absolutely. And that is one of the most difficult things for young players. It's to get rid of that fear of making mistakes. Like I said, I remember trial games where I just didn't want to make a mistake. I wasn't focused on doing things right and standing out. And let's be honest, like when you're trying to break into professional football, even if you're as good as what they've got, it's not good enough. You've got to be better.
Of course.
And I think you look at the players like 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝗆 now, and you look at 𝗁𝗏 at Bournemouth, who's just about to go to Madrid. Like these players are so young, they're playing at such an elite level, and they're just not afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah, they play their way.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who they're playing against, whether it's their mates on a Saturday or they're playing like in the Nations Cup final last night. I just look at that. How dare you? You know what I mean? You're like 17, 18 years old, and you're like playing like without cares, and I think that's such a special talent. You know? Of
course, and it's so wonderful to see because long are the days gone where coaches say you need experience. Because 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝗆, he's 17 and he's arguably one of the best players in the world right now. And it just goes to show presenting yourself well and making sure that you play your way. Like he's not scared of anyone or anything on that pitch, and that's the mentality that footballers need to have. You need to be fine with making mistakes, but not happy that you've done it, but what you do after. So you make the mistake.
It's the easiest thing to say. It's the
hardest
hardest thing to do.
It's the hardest thing to do because as footballers, always like,